Well, good evening to you, East Alabama and West Georgia, wherever you may be watching us tonight, all across the southeastern United States. Dr. Don with you. And I know that our signal is buffering a little bit and the resolution has dropped down significantly in the last few minutes. That's because we have a very heavy rain shower over top of our studio, and that's attenuating the signal back to the cell tower. And this shouldn't last long. As soon as it moves out, the signal should get a little better. But you see a brand new graphic there on the screen. It may be a little hard to see with the resolution drop like it is, but this is a brand new graphic just issued by the National Weather Service out of Birmingham, showing where we think the severe weather will be for the remainder of the night. So you see that up there in Randolph County, extreme southern Randolph County, extreme southern Clay County, southern Talladega County, down to about Auburn, and that includes most of Chambers, Tallapoosa, and Coosa, now in a marginal risk for severe weather, which means that severe weather is less likely but cannot be completely ruled out. You folks up there from about Wedowee north, from about Ashland north, and from about Sylacauga north, the threat for severe weather this evening and into Monday morning has subsided. Again, we can't completely say you won't have a severe rogue thunderstorm, but chances don't look that good. North of Wedowee to Alexander City to Sylacauga line. South of that line, there's still a chance. Down to Auburn, you have a marginal risk. The slight risk picks up there around Auburn, north of Tallahassee, up there maybe around Goodwater, south. You still have a slight risk of severe weather, damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour and quarter-sized hail. Then when you get down into south central Alabama from a point about Demopolis to Selma to about Montgomery down to just north of Eufaula, you have an enhanced risk of tornadoes and damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour with golf ball size hail. And then down there in South Alabama, we've been talking about this the last several hours, from just south of Eufaula over to about Troy, and then over to around Greenville and over to the Mississippi state line south. You still have a moderate risk of strong tornadoes and damaging winds up to 80 miles per hour with golf ball size hail. And that's going to continue on over into Georgia as well. So basically, you folks in LaGrange, you're looking at a marginal risk. You folks in Harris County, you're looking at a slight risk. And then down in Muskogee County, south, you're still in the enhanced risk. Then when you get down into extreme southern Georgia, you're still in that moderate risk for strong tornadoes. So the timing we're looking at, this will continue through 3 a.m. for East Alabama, Central Alabama through about 1 a.m., and then East Alabama through about 3 a.m. But for the most part, you folks in Randolph and Clay and Talladega, certainly up into Cleburne and Calhoun, you're pretty much in the clear as far as severe weather is concerned. I know that there's still a lot of lightning and thunder going on across East Alabama. It's still raining pretty heavily in a lot of places. But all of that rain we've had over the last several hours and the cool air that's kind of backed in from Georgia, cool air damming is taking place over Georgia. That's really helped us out across East Alabama. You folks down in Chambers, Tallapoosa, and Coosa, you still got to be on your P's and Q's as we go through the next several hours. You folks down there in Lee County, southern Tallapoosa, Elmore, Autauga, Montgomery, Macon, and Barber counties, you still have a significant risk of severe weather. And then below that, as the further south you go, the more chance you have of severe weather. So that's kind of where we're at right now. That's a brand new graphic just released from the National Weather Service. So let's go back to the radar. And again, I know that our signal is buffering a bit. That's because we have a very heavy rain shower right on top of our studio up in North Georgia, and that's attenuating our signal going to the tower. As soon as this shower passes, we should get a little bit better. We don't need any go dogs up in here. This is a Auburn and Alabama gig, CJ. Well, yeah, we've got a few Georgia folks in here. Well, maybe we can put up with them for a little while. So let's take a tour on the radar. Let's start in Georgia. Let's start down here around Macon because we've got some very heavy rain for the most part. Maybe a little bit of hail down there around Montezuma, and that's encroaching on Perry, Georgia. Then as we go back to the west, we get into some of our coverage area there in Harris County, down into Muskogee County. Flash flood warnings going on there. Chattahoochee's no doubt going to go into flood. Then as we look up the West Georgia line, right on the Alabama line, very heavy rainfall continues up here in Troup County from LaGrange north along I-85, Hogansville. We get up into Heard County there around Franklin. Very heavy rainfall. The rain's backed off a little bit up in Carroll County, Bremen, down to Carrollton, Roopville. There's some areas of heavy rainfall, but for the most part, it's just moderate. And then over into Alabama, there's Cleburne County, Heflin, along I-20 from about the Anniston-Oxford exit back into Georgia all the way to Atlanta. Just a mess right now. Metro, heavy rainfall around 285, downtown, Midtown, Sandy Springs, Forest Park, just a total washout around Atlanta. Let's go up into North Georgia because we've had several questions about Northwest Georgia where all the tornadoes took place last Sunday. Still a lot of cleanup underway up there in Northwest Georgia. No severe weather threat up here at all. So you folks up there in Trenton, also up in Dade County, over in Murray County, where all the tornado damage was last Sunday, you're good. Yes, you have rain, but as far as severe weather, you're okay. Very heavy rain right now in Calhoun, stretching from Dalton all the way down 75. Rome got heavy rain. Canton, Cedartown, Roswell up 400, up to around Dahlonega. I'll be hanging right there at the G on Dahlonega, and you see it's mostly light rain right now. Some heavier rain off to the west, and that may mess with our signal a little bit, and so our signal may be a little bit choppy and grainy, and I'm fully aware of that. That's the other piece to this puzzle we're going to start working on diligently next week to try to fix, because I'm up here in the middle of nowhere, and our internet is just pitiful. But I got a couple of other ideas we're going to try to maybe get this fixed before we have our next severe weather outbreak. So back in Alabama, still some heavy rainfall across Randolph County, especially the eastern side. Chambers County is just covered up with heavy rainfall. Anywhere you want to go in Chambers County, it's raining right now. Pennon, Lafayette, Casita, Waverly, back up into the central and eastern side of Tallapoosa County. Alexander City, some light rain now. And then some rain continuing over in Coosa County from about Weguffka back to Clanton over in Chilton County. And then as we head down to the south, you see some heavy rains around Dadeville, stretching down to around Tallahassee. And then below I-85 is where most of the lightning is occurring right now. And that's going to be just south of Columbus. That's where we're seeing some hail. Same areas just got hammered earlier today with the storms that moved through this morning, so they're getting a lot of rain again. And then we go back over here in West Alabama. We've had several storms try to go severe. We've had multiple severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings back over here on the Alabama-Mississippi state line, south or probably west of Jackson, Alabama. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning underway now. This is down there around Chatham in southwest Alabama. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for Washington County, southern Washington County in southwest Alabama. And then we have a tornado warning. Remains in effect until 9:15, about another 20 minutes for Greene County. And that's right there on the Alabama. Actually, that is in Mississippi. That's Greene County, Mississippi. Under that tornado warning now. and that's about to move into Alabama. Then behind that, we have a severe thunderstorm warning in Mississippi, and behind that, we have flash flood warning. So I think when all is said and done, the story on this event is going to end up being flash flooding and river flooding. Is going to be the big story. Yes, we still have a chance of severe weather across South Alabama. Had questions about Enterprise, Alabama earlier. Your turn's coming. I know there hasn't been much going on down there all day long, but the simple fact that there hasn't been anything going on down there is why you still are in an area that is conducive for severe weather, because the atmosphere down there has not been worked over very well. So all this stuff down here on the southern end of this line is going to rotate right through South Alabama. So places like Brantley, Luverne, Opp, Andalusia, back over to Dothan, Enterprise, maybe even up to around Headland, Eufaula, all of those areas, Troy, Ozark, Daleville, all of those areas down there in South and Southeast Alabama, and then back over into Georgia, Donaldsonville down there on the lake. All of those areas are prime for severe weather when this line moves through. We have this first line that's kind of coming in there now that's capable of producing severe weather, and we do have a severe thunderstorm warning that's just been issued. And this is a severe thunderstorm warning for Marion County in west central Georgia, southeastern Muskogee County, that's just south of Columbus, Chattahoochee County in west central Georgia, northern Stewart County in west central Georgia, and northwestern Webster County in west central Georgia. This is a severe thunderstorm warning at 9:55, which was about 2 or 3 minutes ago. A severe thunderstorm was located over Fort Mitchell and is about 12 miles west of Casita. That's in Georgia. Moving to the east at about 45 miles per hour. And this has got some pretty heavy hail in it. Hail damage to vehicles can be expected. Expect wind damage to roofs, siding, and trees. So that's a brand new warning now issued down there in southwest Georgia. Question about Athens, Georgia. Yeah, Mr. 911, I see you. Yeah, I think Athens is going to be okay. I think Oconee County will be okay. I really think it's going to be south of I-20. Anything severe. Now, you still got a good opportunity at a lot of rain up there around the Athens area, but any severe stuff is going to be south of I-20. And right, the way it's looking right now, it's going to be basically south of a line from about Columbus, maybe up to Macon, then right out I-16, maybe out to Dublin, Statesboro, and then over to around Beaufort, South Carolina. A line along those towns and south is where the best opportunity for severe weather is going to be as we go through the overnight hours and into the morning. So it looks like I-20 south, probably further south than that. I believe the Athens area, Oconee County, Watkinsville, all down in there, you're going to be fine. At least that's what I'm hoping. Because, folks, my coverage area in Georgia is, yeah. Basically, yeah, something like that. I think that's about right. That's the area of Georgia that I cover. So we got to keep all the severe weather down here. I don't wish any bad luck on my comrades down there in South Georgia, but we want to keep all this mess down here in South Georgia. If it has to happen. We don't want it up here in Northeast Georgia, and we certainly don't want it. We certainly don't want it over here, because that's where all the severe weather was last Sunday, or that's where most of it was. Our fatalities were up here last Sunday, so Cleanup still underway over here. We had some tornado damage over here to the right, too, up in northeast Georgia. So, yeah, maybe I'm trying to talk this stuff to stay south of I-20, but I think that's what's going to happen, the way it's looking right now. Some lightning over there around Roopville, Georgia. Let's see here. Linda Brock's asking me a question about Dothan, Alabama. Just talked about Dothan down here in southeast Alabama, Wiregrass area. Lived down there for several years. It's all north of you right now, but look at this stuff off to your west, Dothan. All that's got to come through, so you got a long way to go. Let's see here. We're looking at 901 Central. And you're watching Dr. Don's weather page coverage, live coverage. We're now broadcasting on all of our Facebook groups. We're also streaming to YouTube. So if you know someone that cannot watch us on Facebook because maybe they don't have a Facebook account, go to YouTube. You can watch us on YouTube. The link has been posted several times in the comments below the video, and you can just go to YouTube and search Don Strength, and you'll find it as well. But yeah, Dothan, you got all this stuff back over South Mississippi that's got to rotate through southern Alabama and eventually into South Georgia. So not much has been happening down here in South Alabama, Northwest Florida, or South Alabama all day. You've been pretty much rain-free. So your atmosphere is still very conducive for severe weather down here. So we're going to have to watch this real close as we move through the next several hours. Yeah, Tammy's telling me to climb that pole so I can get the video a little bit better. I've been up that pole several times here in the last few days. Thank you, Sharon. Yeah, I think Roanoke's safe to go to bed now if you guys want to get some sleep. Just keep your phones turned on and turned up just in case. But I think Lake County and Cleburne County will be fine to go ahead and go to bed. That's right, CJ. I certainly will. I'll climb that pole. Thank you, Linda Aubrey. I appreciate you guys, and thank you for your support. Rhonda's talking about, and she's been kind of watching us over on YouTube. Now, look, here's the best idea, and Rhonda has a very valid point, and I want to suggest that everybody go to YouTube, whether you watch me on Facebook or any of the groups, at least go to YouTube and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That way you're guaranteed to get notified when I go live. Facebook, it just kind of depends whether you get notification or not. If you don't go to your Facebook feed and put me at the top of your feed, then you may not get notified early on when I go live. But if you go over to YouTube and subscribe to the YouTube channel, you're going to get notified, guaranteed to. So that's a very good point, Rhonda. Thank you for that. I suggest everybody go to YouTube and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I got to do some, and there it is again, too. I've got to do some cosmetic work on my YouTube channel. I wasn't quite ready to do that, but I had several people ask me earlier today if I could get it over on YouTube so folks who don't have Facebook could watch what we're doing. So I hastily set that up right quick and got it going. So I've got to change some things around, make it look a little bit different. But there you go. At least you can get to our live feed now on YouTube. And from some of the feedback I'm getting, the quality may be a little bit better over on YouTube as well. Eventually, hopefully within the next week or so, I'm going to have the live feed streaming over on my website as well. And I know those servers will not be quite as congested, so I know the quality will be better, probably even somewhat better over on the website. And I'll talk that up once I get that set up, too. Poor Miss Deborah, she's out in the middle of nowhere. Her reception's bad. My transmission's not the best right now because we've got heavy rain on top of us, and she can't even tell what's on the screen. But maybe you can still hear me, Miss Deborah, and we'll just play like you're listening to the radio until the screen clears up a little bit. Caitlin's asking a question, so nothing for Wedowee. I can't tell you 100% sure there won't be anything in Wedowee, but let me go back to the brand new graphic just issued by the National Weather Service out of Birmingham. You see the marginal risk just barely creeps up into Randolph County from about Rock Mills over to Roanoke over to about Malone. So Wedowee, you're above that green area. And now, as I've said many times, the storms don't know anything about these shaded areas on a map. You're still relatively close from the area that could have severe weather. So I can't tell you for 100% certain that you're not going to see any severe weather in Wedowee, Alabama tonight, but you're certainly above the area of best potential for severe weather. I would say it would be safe to go ahead and go to bed if you're up there in central or northern Randolph or central or northern Clay or even up there in Talladega. I think you're going to be okay. But again, don't completely let your guard down. Make sure that you keep your phone turned on. Make sure you keep your notifications on. Make sure you have a weather app on your phone. Just in case things were to change in the next couple of hours, because we're looking at multiple hours until all this is completely out of here. For East Alabama, probably 3 a.m. on Monday morning before we can completely give you the all clear. Got to get the backside of this line all the way through Alabama before we can say without any uncertainty that the threat is completely over with. Same for you, Roanoke. You're just barely in that marginal risk. I still think the greatest risk for severe weather will be south of I-85 for the remainder of the night. But we can't completely rule out some more rumbles of thunder and some gusty winds up there in the Roanoke area before we're done tonight as well. Franklin, Georgia, you're in the same boat as Roanoke. You're just almost diagonally right across into Heard County in Georgia. Oh, so you must be talking about Auburn. Thank you, CJ. I'm glad you finally came around. Bowden, you're going to be up there kind of in the same boat that Wedowee's in. You're north of the risk area, so I think everything will be fine up there in Bowden. In case you guys missed it earlier, we're going to start a new club. It's going to be called the What About Club on Dr. Don's weather page. We're in the process of designing a T-shirt. And once we get all that put together, for those of you that support Dr. Don's weather page, guess what you're going to get? Oh, What About T-shirt. It's going to have Dr. Don on the front of it. And on the back, it's going to say the What About Club. And probably we'll have our commercial supporters' names on there too. I think that's a very good idea. We appreciate everybody that supports Dr. Don's weather page, and if you make a personal support to us, you're going to get one of these shirts. And if you are a commercial supporter, then your name's going to be on the back of the shirt. We're going to make that happen. The Dr. Don What About Club. 5 points. Let me go back to the graphic again. 5 points, you're still in the marginal risk. I would feel comfortable going to bed as long as you've got a good weather app on your phone and you make sure the notifications are on and turned up. If you're in the green, I know it maybe is a little hard to see right now because the resolution is dropped because of the attenuation of the signal here at our studio because of the rain. But southern Randolph, southern Clay, southern Talladega down into Coosa, Tallapoosa, and Chambers, you're in the green, which is a marginal risk area. As long as you have a good app on your phone, a good weather app on your phone, or a NOAA weather radio sitting beside your bed, then I think you're okay to go to bed. If you're down here in the Auburn-Opelika area, down into Tallahassee, back over toward Wetumpka, maybe even Prattville, up to Clanton, Selma, Demopolis, Montgomery, that area is still under a slight risk of severe storms. I'd pay attention to what's going on for the next several hours. And then below that, we have the enhanced risk down to about Eufaula. And then just south of Eufaula over to Troy, we have the moderate risk that still exists. And that will carry on over into Georgia, too. Again, I am about to... I can stop moving the wrong thing here. Let's do... I'm going to draw the area where we still have a risk of severe weather. Pretty good, huh? I know I got a little bit off the screen over here. All right, so if you're inside that white box I just put on the screen, then there is still a risk of severe weather for you. If you're north of that line, basically right around LaGrange and north, there's still a risk. I'll put the secondary risk on there for you. Above that second line up there, right there around Roanoke, above that you're pretty much in the clear, though you still have heavy rain and occasional thunder and lightning. But if you're south of that line, there is still a risk of severe weather. Put that on here again. There. If you're south of that line, you still have a risk of severe weather. And you can see we do have a severe thunderstorm warning over here in West Georgia. And we have a couple of tornado warnings now getting into Alabama. These are going to be warnings issued by the National Weather Service office in Mobile. But for you folks down here in southwest Alabama, let's look at that. This is a tornado warning that's now in effect for central Washington County in southwest Alabama. This warning is in effect until 10 p.m. About 7 minutes ago, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Fruitdale, or 12 miles southwest of Chatham, moving east at 50 miles per hour. Let me tell you a funny story about Chatham, Alabama. Back in the year 1998, I was down in Mobile working Hurricane George that made landfall in the mouth of the Mobile Bay. We had tremendous flooding from I-10 all the way back out into the Mobile Bay. And this is when I worked. This is when I was the EMA director for Randolph County, Alabama. Went down to work Hurricane George. And myself, along with the state EMA director and several local EMA directors, went up to Chatham County, went up to Washington County, up to Chatham, to talk to the local officials about the damage that they had in their county. Now, we all just jumped in a pickup truck and rode up there. This was a Mobile. We were staged at the Mobile County Emergency Operations Center. That's where we were working from. And the only thing they had available for us was a pickup truck to ride up to Chatham. So we all piled up in the pickup truck. Some of us was in the back of the pickup truck because we were only going about 15, 20 miles up there. And so we get up there, and this was in October. I believe it was October of 98, and it was a Friday. And so the homecoming parade for Washington County High School was taking place about the time we arrived in Chatham. Well, when we arrived and there was county seals on the side of the truck, a vehicle that we were in, they thought that we were there to be in the parade. So they stopped the parade and let us in line. We didn't really quite understand what was going on to start with. We were there to talk about some of the storm damage that they had had a day or two before. And we ended up in the middle of the homecoming parade in downtown Chatham, Alabama, before we really realized what was going on. It was kind of a funny situation. But again, we have that severe thunderstorm warning and a tornado warning. Continues for central Washington County, which will continue until 10 p.m. So we've got about a little less than 45 minutes to go on that one. All right, so now the National Weather Service is telling us that they're about to issue another graphic from Birmingham that's going to show the severe graphic will be marginal to slight across the southern counties of Alabama. So it looks like they are going to push that chance of severe weather even a little bit further south. That's good news. The National Weather Service continues the tornado watch for Barber and Pike County until 11 p.m., but cancels the tornado watch now for Autauga, Bullock, Dallas, Elmore, Lee, Lowndes, Macon, Marengo, Montgomery. The tornado watch has been canceled. I'll repeat those counties for you again. Autauga, Bullock, Dallas, Elmore, Lee, Lowndes, Macon, Marengo, Montgomery, and Russell has been canceled. That is fantastic news. So with that, a bit of information coming from the National Weather Service office in Birmingham. I am pretty much prepared to say that the severe threat has subsided significantly across all of our home counties across East Alabama and West Georgia. And those home counties would be basically in that area right there. So it looks like any severe weather that occurs later on tonight is most likely going to be south of this area. And I can't say for great certainty that you folks down here in the southern end of our coverage area won't see a severe thunderstorm. It's still possible. But for the most part, all of our East Alabama and West Georgia counties are okay now, given this latest information that the Weather Service has just released. So if you're in our primary coverage counties, Alabama and West Georgia, I'm prepared to call it for you for the remainder of the night. Now, that's not to say that we won't have a rumble of thunder and some periods of heavy rain and maybe some gusty winds from time to time. And it's still possible we could have a rogue severe thunderstorm, but any widespread severe weather does not appear to be now an issue across East Alabama or West Georgia. So those of you folks who were planning on staying up a little longer, I see questions about Auburn. Auburn, you're in the area that I'm talking about. Looks like that the threat of severe weather no longer exists for most of Lee County. Dadeville, I think the severe threat has ended for you. Just looking to see any more whatabouts on here. Yeah, there's one for Lineville. When will he hit Lineville? Look, when you ask this question, you got to say about. Don't get specific on me, Danielle, and say when will it hit Lineville. You got to say what about Lineville. You're going to be a member of the What About Club. Lineville, you're out of the severe weather threat. Heavy rain, yeah. Strike them every now and then. That's certainly possible. Tammy's asking about Randolph County here, but she has a valid reason. Internet is skipping, or I'm not really sure which it is. Tammy has to climb the pole in Rock Mills, and I have to climb the pole up here in North Georgia to get a signal. We give the internet service providers billions of dollars across this country over the last 10 to 15 years to fix the rural internet issue, and guess what? Somebody enjoyed some great vacations with that money because that problem has not been fixed. But yeah, Randolph County's in the clear, Tammy. You can go to bed. I know them chickens crow early in Rock Mills, so you got to go and get you some sleep. Lynette and Valley, there's me a what about. Thank you, Bobby, for the what about. Lynette and Valley, you're good. Can we go to bed in 5 points? You certainly may. Yeah, I know that it's buffering a little bit, Marissa. That's because we have a heavy rain shower on top of us, and it's attenuating our signal going to the cell tower. We so far back in the woods, we can't have a hard line. We have to use cell service. Though I'm thinking about getting my turned back on to have a failover, a fail-safe. I guess which would be better than not having anything at all. So I may look at doing that. Okay, so Matt's asking me to go back and look at the Chatham storm. And that is a tornado warning down there in Washington County, Alabama. It's in effect for about another 37 minutes. This is for a line of severe thunderstorms capable of producing a tornado. It is radar indicated. All right, so here's a statement from the Weather Service office in Birmingham. Rain and thunderstorms will continue into the night for much of central Alabama. The warm front really got hung up across South Alabama due to the widespread rain and no nudge from the large-scale system. We'll keep Pike and Barber in the tornado watch given the warmer air isn't that far south from those two locations. Whether it manages to make a sprint north is questionable. A risk of flooding will continue across central Alabama with any lingering severe threats across the far south and southeast counties. That's what we've been talking about all afternoon. That warm front was marching north, and then when it got, and Matt, I'll come back to this tornado in just a few moments. It's radar indicated. We have no ground truth reports just yet. But what we've been talking about all afternoon, the warm front was coming up off the Gulf, and it got up here to around Columbus, just south of Columbus, just south of Montgomery, and it just stopped. We had a bubble of cool air up here across North Georgia, trying to nudge back into East Alabama. I mean, temperatures have been in the upper 50s. It feels like wintertime almost up here in the North Georgia mountains. You know, it's that time of year. You wake up in the morning, you have winter. By about 10 a.m., you have spring. By about 1 o'clock, you have summer. And then by about 7 or 8, you go back to spring, and by midnight, you're back in the winter months. I mean, you get the entire year, all in 24 hours. But we've had a cold pool of air sitting over North Georgia all day. That's kind of nudged back into East Alabama, and that dome of cool air, that pocket of cold air, has kept that warm front at bay down here from about Columbus to Montgomery. If that warm front had migrated further north, that it passed, and everybody